I want you to think about as a recruiter. Like one of the first questions I ask, can you tell me your story? I start by that.
Oh, really?
Google contacted me because I worked on my LinkedIn.
Hi.
야, 오래간만이다. 잘 있었어? 유튜브 채널 시작한 거 축하해.
Thank you.
Executive Recruiting Researcher. That's my job title.
Do you have your name card or something?
No.
Oh, you don't have? Okay.
No, I don't. Google doesn't. I know that it's a big culture in Korea, right? To give away business cards.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal here. So we are doing research on talent markets. A lot of talent mapping. For example, okay, let's say I want to know who's the sales leaders.
Okay.
I put together a talent mapping. Who are the top sales leader there?
Okay.
Who are the, where do they report to? What's the revenue level in different areas?
How do you know that? It's easy to see revenue level, but in terms of talent, it's hard to...
Yeah. So we would leverage different resources. A lot of LinkedIn.
You are in the headquarters, right?
Yeah, I'm in the headquarters. Yeah. It's in Mountain View. Yeah.
But it can be applied the same in Korea.
Yeah. So that's actually really interesting. I would be very curious to know what my colleagues do in Korea, right? Or APAC in general. But we leverage everything that goes from company website to different associations to know what are the key voices in different topics in the market. Or of course, I use LinkedIn a lot. Recruiters here in the US, we use LinkedIn. I mean, we live in LinkedIn, basically. Yeah.
So to be able to work in Google, I have to say myself in LinkedIn.
Oh yes, absolutely. Recruiters live and breathe on LinkedIn. Make it easier for us to find you.
Yeah, most of cases you put job posting and then people apply for that.
Yeah,
That's a common thing.
That's the same thing, similar at Google as well. For executive searches, we post them too. But I know the best people that I want to find are very passive candidates. Passive candidates means that they're not actively looking for a role right now because they're probably doing so well somewhere else. So they're very passive. So I have to go and find them and I have to tell them, hey, I have this role at Google, would you consider it, right? So that's in a very executive level. It's always like that. They're all passive candidates, right? They're not actively in the market. Even for entry-level roles, me too, I did not apply. I have applied to Google in the past. No one responded to me from the online application.
Oh, really?
Google contacted me because I worked on my LinkedIn to make sure that I was reflecting a lot of the things that Google or different tech companies were looking for in executive search. Google essentially reached out to me and Facebook and Netflix too at the time because my LinkedIn, and you have to work on your resume or in your LinkedIn profile and make it easier for people to find you. When you are looking for a job, I want you to think about it as a recruiter. If you're a recruiter, where would you look for? What would you look in your profile? What kind of things do you want to be known for? Think about those things. I didn't develop a lot of my Google section, but you can see everything else. It's very complete. I tell what I do. If you're targeting Google or any tech company, learn the language. Learn the language that Google or all these other companies uses and incorporate them somehow in your resume. So what you are writing about your job resonates with the recruiter or whoever is trying to find this talent. If you're active in the market and looking for something, try to speak the language of the company you want to go to. For example, I knew that, for example, Google. So when I was just, I would be interested in working for an in-house executive recruiting team. I wonder what Google calls their people like me. My title at Spencer Stuart was research specialist, but I knew that Google calls a similar role researcher. So I'm like, I'm going to write my title as researcher. So I can be
I see.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Although, you cannot just change it. Sometimes a good researcher finds your company's language. You can have the kind of the regular title, job title, but then also have it in the description somewhere. right?
Yeah, okay.
I mean, because at Smarter Story, I was called researcher too. It's not that I was not called researcher, but yeah, have it somewhere so they can find you easily, right?
Okay.
And then do a description, very clear description of your job, right? Industry that you're targeting. You have to market a little bit yourself on LinkedIn. And
This is for executive level and normal employee level for both of them, right?
me too. Yeah. So I did not apply to Facebook. I did not apply to Netflix. I was reached out. And right now, because I am at Google and a lot of companies target people at Google, I am constantly reached out by people, right?
Okay.
By different companies. Just make the job of the recruiter easier in a way.
Okay.
Right? And make it easier for us to find you if you're a top talent. No, I don't know the ratio. I don't know. But we do a lot of proactive research. Recruiters, we are very proactive, right? Especially at companies like Google, very proactive. We go out and find these people.
Okay.
So we know that if I am sitting in the application pool and waiting for applicants to come to me, it's not going to happen. I know that.
Okay.
Right? Especially for very passive candidates, right? You still have to tell a story, for your career. One of the first questions I ask when I am interviewing candidates is, can you tell me your story? I start by that. I say, can you tell me your story?
It's the same question in Korea. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah, tell me about yourself. I do. I say it that way because for me, each person has a story, right? And that's why I was asking you, how was your kind of journey too, right?
How many minutes it should be?
That's a good point.
In Korea, it's limited to 1 minute.
Oh, interesting.
All the applicants prepare for memorized self-introduction for 1 minute.
Wow. They just let it go. Usually it's like, I don't know, they tell me for 5 minutes, 7 minutes.
Okay.
But
They're very talkative.
They're very talkative and they have so much to say, right? I mean, they have a really extensive career.
Mm-hmm.
But I like asking that because when you're looking for a job, you have to have a compelling story about why, choosing why, right?
Okay.
That job as a next step for you. It's not just for the money. It's not just for, it's because you grew up with that dream, Korea exporting, and you also loved meeting new people in other places and you found them, loved sharing their stories and you like hearing them and you like connecting two different worlds together, Korea and Latin America, right?
Okay.
So, and you found that you're good at it, right? So you can build a story around your career choices.
You buy the story.
I think it's important for people to reflect on those, right?
Oh, okay.
Have a self story. And it's actually really, sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes you find that it's hard to articulate that. You know it in your mind, but
yes, it's really hard.
Yeah, it is.
To market.
It's good to practice. Yeah, exactly. It's good to practice it. So I appreciated my conversation with Facebook or Netflix before Google because I feel like I got to articulate it, right? Because, sometimes you're doing your job every day and you're amazing at it, but then to explain it to someone else that has no idea what you do is hard. It's good to practice it, right? So, but you have to have a story. You have to have a compelling story as to why you're doing what you're doing.
So you have to be fit for the job description.
Yes, for sure you have to be strong in the job qualifications, right? They have always like minimum qualifications or preferred qualifications. Minimum qualifications is a kind of the bare minimum that's the bar you're setting for this person. Of course, you have to be very good at that. But then Google is always evaluating for other areas too. Like, are you collaborative? Do you have ownership about things? Are you self-starter? Are you always protecting the user? All these different things, right? So at the end of the day, they want to know the whole person of you, right? As opposed to just, can you do the job only? Sorry, I'm going through all different areas.
It's okay.
Anyway, congrats again on the YouTube channel. Yeah,
thank you.
I like that. Yeah. And I have a few colleagues in Korea. So in the future, if you're interested for a little bit more nuance differences in the Korean market or APAC market, maybe they might be a better source than me, right? About how Google just hiring in this region.